kids? It's your old pal Plazzy the Plasma Deity, formerly known as Squatty the Squatter Man, and I'm back again to let y'all in on a little known secret of the Milky Way. Now this is our solar system: the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, watch out for the Klingons around Uranus, and Neptune. Now, modern academia tells us that the solar system is all messed up. Mercury is too small of a planet to be so close to the Sun. Venus, why, it spins backwards. Of course, everybody knows that we here on Earth are on a 23.5-degree tilt. Now, let's take a look at Uranus. Uranus is tilted by a whopping 98 degrees. Ouch! And why does Neptune spin on its side, tilted 30 degrees to the Sun's orbit? Well, there was a colleague of Einstein's, an Israeli scientist named Emanuel Velikovsky, a very smart man who once suggested in the 1950s that our planets in ancient times were in a different order and much closer together. And then in the 1990s, along came a very smart man named David Talbot, and he made a documentary called Symbols of an Alien Sky, whereupon he suggested that it was the Earth, Mars, Venus, and Saturn that was the alternate planetary alignment. And for primitive man and early hominids, this is what it would have looked like from Earth. And this planetary alignment with the planets so close would have created a plasma discharge in between the planets that would have looked a little something like this. Me, my handsome self, Plazzy the Plasma Deity, here I am. And David Talbot, he went about looking and he found this image of me all over the world. They just couldn't stop drawing me. I guess my handsome self was too hard to resist. Anyway, here to explain the rest, is that weird guy, Steve. I mean, he really is weird. I mean, you guys don't even know. I've secretly filmed him doing some Silence of the Lambs stuff. Look for yourself.
That ass, mommy. Shake that ass, mommy. Shake that ass, mommy.
What the actual... I guess old Plazzy won't be needing his eyeballs anymore, folks. Anyway, here he is, somebody who's definitely not weird at all. It's Steve. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Atlantis Confirmed. It's Steve. Let's get right to it. Okay. So I was going through some of my other stuff, and I realized I can make a really compelling case for this now with three major pieces of evidence. I'm going to prove to you that Native Americans, just like everywhere else that I'm saying, is a Proto-Semitic, Proto-Judaic faith. The Plasma Deity faith that Plazzy the Plasma Deity just clued you guys all in on is the source, the genesis for all religious faiths. Except I haven't studied Muslims, Islam. I think they make it a pass because they have no image of Allah. And I think that keeps it from being tied to the Plasma Deity. So I don't study it. I don't want to get mixed up with them. I'm getting a lot of hate mail as it is from Jewish people. Jewish people do not like you going here with the... tying their religion back to this Plasma Deity or the Mazarath. But the Mazarath, as I pointed out in my responses to them, is found in ancient Jewish synagogues. It's synagogues all the way up all the way back to 600 AD. All right, so I'm going to prove that this also made its way to the Americas. This is the I brought this up before. This is the and I don't mean to be offensive with this, but the cliche, forgive me, is the hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. They're spelling Yahweh. This is the Tetragrammaton of Yahweh. It's spelled backwards. Hey, these two symbols are the same, so they are the same phonetically. Hey wa, hey yud.
Hey, wah, hey, good. Hey, wah, hey, good. Hey, wah, hey, good. They're spelling Yahweh. Let's move on. That's my first piece of evidence. My second piece of evidence, let's look at this is what I brought up. This is what I've been really focusing on. So here's our plasma deity friend that Blasey explained how that happened. This is our at the very least 15,000-year-old Aboriginal Australian cave art. The natives there say that it's actually 65,000 years old. Bird head, shield, snake legs, staff. This is, I theorize, Proto-Abraxas, the original Abraxas. Also, because of the positioning, you see the head and you see where it looks like arms that are cupped like this, or perhaps holding breasts. And that is the birth. Now, again, it's an interpretation of this, because look, this becomes the hand or the staff. The bird head, they're counting the negative space as the beak. This is the bird head. This is the arm raised. There were probably tendrils coming off of here. This became the snakes. This became the extra arm pieces that we see in the Göbekli Tepe figurine. These are the circles. They're counting the negative space as well. These are the circles inside, and then it's got crazy legs because it's the three. And look, I even found there is the high. There is the high symbol that we find in the later Anguiped. It's remarkable how much the image remained the same over thousands of years. Okay, so this is a Shearer. A Shearer is in the exact same position of holding her breasts. This is the most ancient. It was also Athrit, which was the Ugaritic supreme creator goddess. She is the Proto-Semitic. She is the wife of El, who became the wife of Yahweh as El became Yahweh. But you see how if you don't look at these as arms, you could see how it's holding its breasts. And we know that that's how it was interpreted, because look down here. Here is a Shearer, and look at this figurine. Guess where this is from? If I told you this is 12,000 years old, and from Turkey, it'd be believable. However, it is from 600 AD in the American Southwest. This is Native American art. Why is there a bird-headed Shearer doll on some 16,000 years later on the other side of the planet? That is clearly the Abraxas bird with, I'll show you again, as if holding, here's a bird head, as if holding breasts, and there it's been turned, and it's the phi, by the way, the phi symbol, the sacred feminine. And there's the Shearer dolls doing the same thing. Now, at first I was like, well, why would they have the same iconography? Would it mean because the information was shared and thus proving Atlantis, because that proves a global seafaring population before pre-Columbian times? Or did they just see the same thing in the sky and make the same interpretation? And then I remembered the Hewaheyat. This is too close of evidence. The primitive Judaic, Proto-Judaic, Proto-Semitic faith began here. This is the earliest evidence I find, unless it's Altamira Man Cave as well, and I am going to get to Altamira Cave, but that could go back as much as 140,000 years. But let's just stick with this from now on, for right now, 15,000 to 65,000. This is the first Abraxas. There is the high symbol. This is the beginning of it. It made its way 15,000 years all the way to the other side of the world, to American Southwest. It's the same bird figure with the looped arms. It's the same bird figure in the Shearer pose. This is the plasma deity that became interpreted like this, and this interpretation made it all the way around the world and lasted 15,000 years conservatively. All right, so worship of Asherah was a really big thing. And here's our two-headed plasma deities that sometimes appeared in the sky as well. So that's our second piece of evidence. The first is the Hewat Heyud, which is Yahweh. The second piece of evidence is the bird figurine, which completely matches the Australian piece that's 20,000 years older, 15 to 20,000 years older. Now, there was a thing called an Shearer Pole. And a Shearer Pole is a sacred tree or pole that stood near Canaanite religious locations to honor the Ugaritic mother goddess Asherah, or they called her Ugarit. She was the consort of El, who later became Yahweh. The relation of the literary references to Asherah and archaeological finds of Judean pillar figurine has engendered a literature of debate. What they're saying here is that the modern canon, who are in charge of the modern Judaic faith, don't want to. They're belying their own pagan roots. They're belying their roots of, and this is the hate mail that I've been getting also from Jewish people saying, that this wasn't their thing, and it was outside, that they were worshiping, they had foreign idols in there. And it's like, if you have foreign idols in your synagogue, you are worshiping them. That you can't split hairs like that. They're in our church, but we're not worshiping them. We're not, it's like, well, what do you got them in the synagogue for then? Just as keepsakes? It's, it's a ridiculous argument, and they're just I don't know. It's not pure Judaism if they admit that there was a sacred feminine and it was polytheistic, and it just wasn't what it is today, what it's evolved to. Okay, so and here's the other thing: the Asherim. The Asherim were the priestesses of Asherah, and they're the ones who did the fertility rites, and they are also the ones who are accused later by the patriarchy, by the ones who ended the worship of Asherah after the first exile. They blamed Asherah, and they said that one of the ways that the temples of Asherah made money was through religious prostitution. The priestesses would sell themselves for sex and incorporate that into religious rites. Something we see later on with Rasputin in Russia. So is it true? We don't know. History is written by the winners. So it might just be a smear campaign. Or it may have actually, we're judging by modern values of something that Asherim got to eat. So, and if you're liberated and you're it's that's part of your thing. It's I don't know. I could see how in ancient times that could have been justified. Okay, so what are these Shearer Poles? Shearer Poles are they came in various sizes. They are the precursors to the crucifix. There were household size Shearer Poles, and there were large ones, and the largest ones were cut into trees. And if you've seen Game of Thrones, the weirwood trees, they ripped off Shearer Poles to create the weirwood trees, the faces in the trees. So this is from Jewish source. Hezekiah had all the Shearer Poles cut down, so you can see this is a size, and it's the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty is an Shearer Pole. But this is where, the more I'm going back, the more it's all opening up, because look what else. Well, let me do the the Native Americans really quick. This is an Shearer Pole, and I'll let you know how. There's the bird, right? The bird. It's Abraxas. It's the plasma deity as the bird Asherah. And I know it's the bird Asherah because look what we have over here. Now this is the Philippines, and this is called a Batak, which is in the tribe in the Philippines, shaman staff. And look what we've got here. We have it's an Shearer Pole that's a sort of bird-like. We're seeing sort of a missing link here between this Shearer Pole and this Shearer Pole. So we're losing the cupped breasts, but we're keeping the face. We're adding the bird feature, and here is the baby coming out because it's a fertility symbol. And if you look on the Indiana Jones, the idol that he steals in the beginning, it's a fertility symbol. There's a baby actually coming out of the very bottom of the idol, and that's what we have going on here because they are all Shearer Poles. But let's look what else a Shearer Poles became. I think it's everything. I think it's everything from. That's where the obelisks come from. The obelisks are masculinized Shearer Poles. They became a Baal-lisk, which literally means the dick of Baal. And Baal is Yahweh, who is El, who is Gemini with Shearer. So a Shearer Pole became the obelisk, and these the Washington Monument minarets, the London Tower thing, the monument in New York. Ligums also are Shearer Poles. They are also the Shvanza of the plasma deity, and this is an ancient. So this is the handheld Shearer Pole right there. That's this is the precursor to the crucifix. They would have this in their homes, and I'll show you how it became the Statue of Liberty. This is an ancient figurine that we found, and they said it's Yahweh. But look, he's cupping breasts, and look at his face. It is it's a phi right there, and you can see how because it's a phi going one way and a phi going the other way. So you can see how that becomes bird-like as well. And this became once the Babylonians conquered Jerusalem in I want to say 526 BCE. The exiled Jews blamed the worship of the sacred feminine, Asherah, and their sexual practices and all of that for angering and making Yahweh jealous, and that was cemented the patriarchy. And if you look at the original design for the design for temples, the court of women is in the head portion of the main part of the building, and then as you go deeper, the most sacred part is called the Holy of Holies. It was based on sacred feminine. It was a female, and the female were the venerated there. But after the exile, it got turned around. So they went ahead and outlawed, and it's all through the Bible and the Old Testament about how it's not good to. We find these are all Shearer Poles. These are all the maypole, all the pole symbology. So there's the three things. We have the totem pole, we have the Hewa Heyud, and we have this figurine in the American Southwest that completely matches the iconography in the Aboriginal cave a full 15,000 years before. It's all coming from the same source. Had I not found the Hewa Heyud that they are saying that they are spelling Yahweh, that I would have assumed that it wasn't something that was transfer of knowledge. It was they were all seeing the same thing and interpreting with the same imagery because it was that obvious. However, you added with this fact that they're spelling Yahweh, and I do believe that it was something that was brought to them. Okay, so let's move on. This was put up by Matt, and I love Matt to death, but I think there's a thing where you get too big and you can't make the risks that you should and stuff, because I pointed this out to him when he originally posted, this is from Ancient Architects Matt, when he originally posted the Queen, the new footage of Inside the Queen Shaft, which I love this series he's been doing. I pointed this out to him. I said, it's a plasma deity. He had it enhanced, that meme where you enhance it, and it came up like that, and he won't identify it as a squatter man, and it's like, Matt, you're getting too safe for me. Here's what really gets in the bee in my bonnet. If you look up on YouTube, and so I posted something about this, how people don't want to know, and somebody was like, well, Randall, somebody posted, well, you're lamenting that you don't get a lot of views. Randall Carlson doesn't, he gets a lot. And I'm like, look, I'm lamenting for Randall Carlson too. Randall Carlson's a genius. I don't agree with him at all on climate change, but I've spent many hours at the feet of worshiping at the knowledge of Randall Carlson. Believe me. But no, if you type in like what is a pyramid in Google or something, you'll find videos that have like 20 million views, right? But anything you go deeper, the deeper into it you get, the less views you're going to get. I think Randall Carlson should have 20 million views. I'm not just lamenting for myself. I'm lamenting in general. People just don't want to know. They want to know what's a pyramid, and that's it. No matter what it unlocks. That's what I was talking about on this stuff. But I just feel like people, the bigger people get, the less, they don't want to lose their subs and stuff. And I think monetization may be one of the worst things that ever happened to scientific research on YouTube. Okay, so it's a plasma deity inside the Queen's Chamber shaft that they have put inside. Why? Because, as I've shown many cases, the pyramid is a Semitic. It's a Semitic symbol. It makes the tetragrammaton with the sun over top of it and the central axis going through it. This is another example of how it is this proto-Semitic faith. Okay, so let me give you another example, and I'm going to come back to this little glyph here. This is I just found this out. This is the life rune. Okay, now these runes weren't supposed to be around until I think 600 AD. This is the rune for life, and this is the upside down is the rune for death. Look what happens when you put them together. It's Zeus's lightning bolt. But it's something else that should jump right out at you. It is our plasma deity friend. I mean, you couldn't get more of a match. The up and the down. I think this also became the caduceus, and it also became, because if you just connect this right here, like if you make a, I love annotating now. Here we go. I don't know if it's let me do it. Let me try. No, it wants me to. Here we go. I gotta fix this again. All right, watch. Right? Or, right? Well, guess what that is? That's the symbol for Saturn, and that is the sigil for Satan as well, if you turn it on its side. It also, if you continue it, gives us the zigzag pattern that we find everywhere, including Göbekli Tepe. And on the pillar 43, and this, if you put this guy, you continue the central axis all the way through. Again, look, all right, and then these are the wings. It's the caduceus. See, over there. It's the caduceus. It's the seal of Saturn. It's the seal of Lucifer. It's also the protection rune. If you take away one more. That right there is the protection rune from the combination. So you see how it's all coming together. The further back you go, the easier it's almost getting. The harder part was realizing that it's all the same thing. But now that I realize it's all the same thing, it's like a magnet pulling everything to each other. One more, you could accuse that of being confirmation bias, or you could just say, no, this is just what it is. A case is easier to prove when you're right. The evidence is there more when you're right. So look what else this is, though. You took this as a figure, and this is crazy hair and crazy legs. It's a Abraxas. It's a Abraxas. We got the crazy rooster hair and the crazy legs. And guess who else Abraxas is? It's Quetzalcoatl. This is again 15,000 BC. This is like 900 AD in Mesoamerica. It's the same figure. There's the shield. There's the shield. There's the bird head. Look, he's wearing a mask to make himself a bird. It is the same imagery. His arms down. His arm could be in any position, but look how they specifically have him side by side like that. This is Abraxas. This is Abraxas 16,000 years later. The American Indians are Proto-Semitic, and so are the native Mesoamericans. Now, this next part is really going to blow your mind. It blew my mind anyway when I figured it out. This is nuts, because I was seeing this flower of life, this tree of life on like when I showed you the petroglyphs yesterday, and I'm like, did they just see? Was it just the wet? Like, what are they writing up there? Because we've also seen a Yingana. I've shown a Yingana that is the tree of life, has the nodes as well, the Sephiroth. The plasma deity itself. And what really strikes me is that the top Sephiroth is above the head, and that's exactly the way it is in yoga. In India, your crown chakra is above your head. I didn't set out to finagle this. I just said, well, we're the obvious ones. The circles have to be circles, right? Why would they make this out of this and not put the circles anywhere? Line the circles up. And I said, well, if you put these two here, that's got to be that's got to be there. And I just worked my way up. This in the Pol Bavu is called Heart of Sky. And then the angles, right? But I just took the ends right there, and I drew the line here, and then there's one for the head right there, and then your crown chakra is above. Now, when you see this elsewhere, like I saw it in the petroglyphs of the American Southwest, and I saw it in the Yingana of Australia, this is very difficult, this form, to come up with on your own without seeing it. You have to have the time you drew all these circles, and you discovered this on your own. I've been drawing circles my whole life. Until I learned about this, I never came up with this pattern on my own. Somebody spent a lot of time before they got this pattern and recognized what it was. That or that this pattern came from just making these circles like this. The idea that the knowledge of this would be discovered in so many different places as far away from Australia and the American Southwest and China and all the other places that we find this flower of life, all on their own, is possible, but not probable. It seems more in a sense that this would, especially like the American Southwest, we expect the ancient Chinese to have this level of sophistication. We expect the ancient Sumerians, the ancient Greeks, the Pythagoreans. We don't really see the evidence of that. Perhaps it's been lost in the American Southwest in terms of advanced geometric knowledge. We know the Sumerians wrote on clay tablets. We don't really see what the Native Americans would have been working out advanced geometric problems on. But this is, make no mistake, advanced geometry. So if they knew about it, it is possible they came up. But what is more possible? That all of these different cultures came up with this and venerated it on their own, or there was some sharing of knowledge at some point, which again gives us, in this pre-Columbian time, and again gives us Atlantis. Now, to see this figure in the sky everywhere and just draw it and take its major points, and that became a tree of life, is a very strong possibility of how this shape got from Yingana in Australia to the American Southwest is that they really were just copying the pattern that they see in the sky. However, if you take that argument, what are the odds that this exact pattern matches this exact pattern when you draw all these circles together? That is mind-blowing. Of all the patterns that this could come up with, and some people even suggest that this repeats, and that these aren't just left out here, that this is a 0 point, and it continues below, as above, so below, which would make this the 0 point, and then these two wouldn't have anything, and it would continue on from there. But this would give you phi. This would give you the circle with the cut through it. We're talking about phi again. We're talking about the 0 point again. We're talking about the Akashic record. We're talking about karma. We're talking about the spirit realm, where all the actions from this realm go into the next, into the toroid, and come right back to you. It is really mind-blowing to me, and definitely points at an intelligent design. The idea that this image would appear in the sky on its own, and it matches this complex of a geometric configuration that would take a really long time to figure out on its own and discover on its own is mind-numbing. How astronomical the odds of that must be, and there must be a deeper meaning to that. Here's something further. I've recently discovered that there were more than one plasma deity. It was the Council of the Gods. It was it was Mercury, Saturn, Venus, Mars, and the Moon, and perhaps Jupiter. 5, maybe even 6 plasma deities at once. When they were separating, and they weren't just connected to our planet, they're connected to each other as well. Did they make a freaking tree of life? Was there a giant tree of life in the stars between planets? We have it just on the basic scale. Were all of the different planets, their configuration, their connection to each other, creating this spider web in the sky of a tree of life? That is astonishing, and this should be a movie. And it reminds me of the Le Machin configuration in Pinhead in Hellraiser 4, how they eventually destroy the Cenobites. The Hellraiser stuff is all occult, by the way. The Clive Barker is deep into the occult. It's all occult work. I'm gonna have to do a pop culture movie where all the occult stuff comes from, but. Yeah, like Leviathan. I'm getting sidetracked, but the thing that rules the underworld in, I think, Pinhead and Hellraiser 2, where it's like an octahedron. Yeah, that's a cult novelist. In fact, say hi to the octahedron right there. It's what you get when you draw around these guys. It becomes the octahedron. Okay, so yeah, it's really hard to get that, and the idea that you would get this from that, and that the planets separating, connecting to each other with their own tree of life, tree of creating a gigantic tree of life, or perhaps a dodecahedron. It's God. God is the universe. The universe is God. God is math. The further back you go, what I'm really enjoying about all this is finding out how much they saw it all as one thing. Magic was the same as mathematics, was the same as spirituality, was the same as astrology, was the same as astronomy, was the same as medicine, was the same as politics, was the same as fashion, was the same as city planning. Everything was sacred. And it all came from this, and it destroyed that's what really blows my mind. Also, can you imagine when they all separated, the gravity caused just lots of destruction. So did the plasma blasts in between the worlds. 5 of these fuckers up in the sky, looking like they're zapping the shit out of Earth. That must have been horrifying and terrifying, and left such an indelible impression upon our brains that we studied it and venerated it. It became the source of all religions, became the source of all mathematics. It created writing, it created spirituality, it created working together, it created circumnavigation of the globe. All of this, and you know what else I've been thinking is, before this happened, when the Earth was on its straight up and down axis, I wonder where the Milky Way streak that we see through the sky, I wonder if that was on a flat plane, since we're all on a flat plane, and it would have looked like, if you were standing on the beach, that the ocean went into the cosmos. And I think that's what they're talking about in all the creation stories of the world was formless. There was no separation between the sky and the earth. You would have seen the ocean go off into the horizon and then go off into the Milky Way plane. It would have seemed like the ocean went off into the stars, which is really quite beautiful to think about. Okay, so there it is. And then this became Abraxas, and Abraxas ties everything together. Shearer Poles, it's here's some more fun stuff. A Shearer Poles become. You put in a Shearer Pole in your house every Christmas, and there's the Shearer Pole. Look, there's the little mini one. There's the crucifix. Your Christmas tree became a Druidic tradition that they used to bring inside because the Catholic Church stamped out a Shearer Poles, and so to worship the Shearer Pole, you had to bring it inside to be in secret. The Washington Monument, obelisks. Now you know. All praise to Shearer, Atharit, the original sacred feminine mother goddess. I have so much stuff to show you guys. I really do. It really becomes a challenge of what to leave out, And the problem is like the more you stack up, the more you have to explain. Like there's more. This is probably over a half hour long. It could have been an hour and a half. One last thing I want to say. I've kind of come to the realization that a lot of you may be, who are subscribing to me, might be followers of Donald Trump. I'm sorry, we're gonna have to part ways. I'm not down with that at all. I believe that conservatism has ruined the planet, putting corporations before people, putting coal jobs before the environment. We're having mass, I'm going to get on my soapbox here. If you in any way don't like homosexuals or any LGBTQ or people of color or different religious faiths, leave me the fuck alone. This is not for you. Everything that I have learned about the ancient past is one of tolerance and peace and love and sacred feminine worship and understanding. I represent the serpent cult. I'm going back to that. You are the eagle falcon cult, and that is the warlike one that took over. And I don't fuck with the eagle cult people. So, as using your holy Bible, I don't cast my pearls before swine. I would love to have you back if you go and evolve and come back, but this is not for you. In fact, your God, your church, I'm assuming you conservatives are also Christians, you go to hell for watching this stuff because I'm preaching the occult. The occult just means hidden in Latin, but it's been demonized by your church. This is Jesus. This is a form of Jesus. The mythology never ended. I may have to do a whole video where I just completely dissect the Jesus myth and show you where all of the ancient tenets, where it comes from. Every single tenet of the Jesus story comes from an more ancient religious tale, religious God. So I'm sorry. I don't care if I lose half my followers. I don't know how you are watching this stuff and have those political faiths. This is not for you. This is for people who are this. Shearer symbolizes benevolence, lovingness, creative energy. It's not the male dominant aggression and destruction energy of the male power. So I won't have it. I can't control who it is, but if there's some people who have sort of clapped back on me on my blogs and stuff that I put up here, if I see that's what you are, this is not a democracy. My YouTube channel is not a democracy. So I am not down with Trump. I am not down with conservatism. I'm about acceptance for all, love for all, tolerance for all, celebration of diversity. And if that's not you, I don't want you watching my videos, okay? But the rest of you, God bless you, and Shearer bless you, and I love you guys, and I got some new fun stuff coming up, like songs and little occult tableaus I want to do. I'll see you guys on the next one. Adelante.
Being an alien.